Okay, it's recording. Now I'm going to try this screen share. Actually, I have to pull it up first. I better. So what do you see at this point? Do you see
you?
You see me. You don't see the screen yet.
No, I can't see anything yet.
Oh, okay. That's interesting because I didn't know what you could see or not. Right now I am going to pull up the slideshow again because it disappeared. It got shut down somehow. Okay.
Sounds almost like you might have, well, it does sound strange that you get kicked out of a meeting.
Yeah,
There
that
could
has
be some
never
kind of a
happened.
virus in your, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, I clicked screen share before, but now I'm gonna start.
Okay.
Now you see.
Now getting to, yeah. I can see it now.
Now I'm going to try the slideshow part of it. All right, so far so good. Okay, I'm gonna start the slideshow from the beginning because
It's still got a black bar right across the middle of the bottom bit.
Yeah, do you know how to get rid of that? Because I've never.
No idea. No.
All right.
Anyway.
Yeah, it covers up the logo, but yeah, but it won't cover up any of the rest of the slides.
Okay.
Okay. Welcome to Raising Happy Kids Zoom Show, episode 37, The One Rule to Raising Happy Kids. During this 1-hour Zoom show, I focus on sharing tips and lessons on the one rule to raising happy kids. Each episode has at least one example of the one rule in action, demonstrating how it helps you raise a happy child. Then we have Q&A and discussion. When I talk about raising happy kids or creating harmony with kids, I bring up the one rule. The one rule equals agreement. Agreement equals harmony. Using the one rule means you find agreement, that's the rule. You find a solution that everyone likes. You found agreement. You found harmony. Knowing and following the one rule is all you really need to create harmony between you and your kids. In any situation where there are differences that might lead to conflict between you and your kids, use the one rule. I learned this strategy from 3-year-old children. I was teaching them a complex conflict resolution strategy actually intended for adults, and they taught me this. So don't think you're in for a rough time. It's simple, it's easy, It's powerful and effective. It works if you use it. I'm glad you're here. Now let's have Q&A and discussion. Okay. All right. So, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions, but tell me more about the scenario with the 3-year-olds. It sounds quite interesting.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I studied Montessori in India. And when we came back to the United States, we started a Montessori school. So that's where that took place, was in the Montessori school. And the first time that this, what I now call the one rule, came about was working with these two little girls. I was outside, they were outside, and both of them wanted to use the same swing. All the other swings were being used by other children, but there was one empty swing. And so I could see there was going to be a problem with this. So I went over to the swing, and I had already made an announcement in circle that we were going to find solutions that everybody liked for things that came up. And I had actually done this with two other little girls over a book. But this one with the swing is where the what I now call the one rule came about. So I went over to, I'm going to have to get some water. I am.
Okay.
Okay. I have some here. So. Okay. So I held on to the chain, one of the chains of the swing, and I said, well, we're going to find out something that you both like, or something like that. And they kind of looked at me like, what's going on here? How is this going to happen, and whatever. And so it came into my mind, and so I did this. I pointed to one little girl. I said, because you are important, and I pointed to her. And I pointed to the other little girl, and you are important. And we need to find something that you both feel good about, and we can do this. And one of the little girls, when I pointed to them both, one of the little girls, her eyes, it was like this was new information for her, and she processed it immediately. And it was that, oh, I'm important, and this other person is important. Anyway, she's the one that came up with the idea. And I don't know how it came in her life, but she came up with the idea that they could both swing, that she would sit on the swing and the other little girl would sit on her lap facing her, and they would swing at the same time. And the other little girl liked that idea, so that's what we went with. And I, of course, stayed there to make sure everything was good. and did some swing pushing. And it worked out really well. And the thing that I realized, because what I was going to go through with them had about, I don't know, 10 or 11 different steps. And what I realized, and even though I didn't come up, the whole one rule thing only came up in the past few years. But what happened with those little girls seems so significant to me that I actually put it into my first book. I didn't like title it anything. I just I wrote about it because it seemed an important point. And I've come to realize that it's such an important point. It's like, that's really the essence of what I did in terms of raising my own children. Once I made the decision, I was not going to try to make them do anything that they didn't want to do. That was my first decision. And as I've recently, this is pretty recently, as I've been going through okay, I wrote a book, I made a training on the one rule. So, and then I've been having these weekly shows and things come up, questions and concerns and insights, and because like so I've been going through this whole thing and looking back at my life, how I was with my children, how I was with kids in general, and sharing some of these things. Yeah. I'm sorry, I got distracted because I realized that one of the reasons I've been going through things a lot is I didn't plan to bring this up, but it's there. So is that a few weeks ago, my son went to heaven. And so I've been doing a lot of inner work. And one of the first things that came out of that was, because he was an amazing father, is that I need to share this work with fathers also. And my primary focus has been with women, with mothers, and I need to expand that. So a lot of thinking is going into that too. So anyway, that's what happened with those little girls. And it took all those years for this one rule to come out of it, something that I could actually share, that people could understand and relate to. And another thing that was very interesting to me, I remember sharing this same process with two little boys over a trike. And after that, now that they both wanted this one trike, and the solution they came up with was one little boy had brought something for show and tell, and he said that this other little boy could hold that while he rode the trike. Well, the other little boy loved that idea, and so that's what happened. But the thing that I was going to say, which seems really interesting to me, is that after that, I rarely had to, there problems just didn't come up. The only time that I can think of something is like there was one little boy who joined Children's House, and he had troubles with his father, and he would cause some troubles with other children. So I needed to put more time and attention with him. And actually what happened with him was something that I'd seen in Montessori, the Montessori environment, and that is children finding something that really, really is compellingly interesting to them. And when he found insects, and it was actually in a picture book, a big, with actual pictures of insects, and I would read that to him, and he became so fascinated with that. He was just like enthralled with it, just like now I would say totally into it. And after that, he didn't cause trouble for any other students. And that was something that I'd read about, and I had actually seen evidence of that kind of situation where the children find something engaging to them, and it changes how they are. They become more peaceful, harmonious people. And that's one thing that this one rule can do. This one rule came about because over the years, the many years that I worked with children, I came up, well, one night I was going to go to a Women's Federation for World Peace meeting, and I decided I was going to actually write down all the tools, skills, and strategies that I had used. And I came up with 108 different ones. So
wow.
I know. And I have on my screen, I could pull up my 108 list, because one thing that I've learned is that though most of the shows there are guests, not all of them. And so I always want to have something that I would like to share with people, because this will be going on YouTube and as a podcast. So that's one of the things I pulled up last night, was the 108.
Well,
Because,
I'd be fascinated to see it.
oh, we could do that. We could do that. Okay, I'm going to finish my little story and then I'll pull it up.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, what happened was one night I was thinking, and I don't remember what stimulated this thought, but I was thinking, do people really have to learn all this stuff to be able to have harmony, have peaceful relationships with their kids, you know, have everybody feel good about how things are going? And so that started this search inside of me. And I had just created a training called Harmonized with Kids. And so what I came up with is now this one rule that if you and there anyway, there's a whole book and training on this. But but if the adult can make the commitment to the one rule, which is that we're going to find something that works for whoever's involved, that they feel good about, and then that's all you really need to do. It's like, because the love, at least between the parent and the child, that is there. Even if things get in the way of it, it's still there. And so it's not like you have to create that. That seems inborn. But something causes a lot of frictions here and there in people's lives with their kids and between the kids and the adults. So that was what I wanted to resolve. And that's how the one rule came about. But right now, what I will do is pull up the 108 for you. Okay, so I'm going to go into screen share again. Let's see. Wait, let me. So let's see. Okay. All right. I learned something new here today, so I was wondering why it wasn't cooperating. Okay, do you see it now?
I can see it, yes.
Okay. Let's see. These are not, here's where the 108 start. These are like benefits of using the one rule. And here is where
it's very small.
Oh.
Can you go in and zoom? from the top right-hand corner where the binoculars are, maybe. I'm not sure if that'll make it bigger.
Huh. The screen is very small for you?
No, the writing.
I
But
see.
if you can go on your screen up to the right-hand corner, I think you'll find the option to zoom in and make it bigger where the binoculars are.
Oh, I see. Oh my goodness. Oh no, my binoculars say find text in the document.
Oh, right, not that one then. Maybe there's somewhere around
Let's see. Let me try this.
On view, if you look above at the top on view, in the middle, in the blue bar on the top.
Okay.
Oh, that was better.
Okay. View, yes.
At the top there, yeah, view.
Okay.
Click on that.
Oh, zoom.
And there might.
Ta-da.
Yeah. And then you make it bigger.
Like 200%?
Just try out whatever works.
All right.
You know.
Let's see. Does that?
Yeah, that's good.
Does that
perfect.
better? Okay.
Absolutely perfect.
Good. The missing foundation of parenting. Well, the one rule kind of takes over the missing foundation of parenting now. And it would have the same effect because it doesn't interfere. It doesn't. Okay. One time I got a letter, which I actually still have, from someone, a young woman bought my book because she had a 2-year-old and she wanted to have a good relationship with the 2-year-old. And she encouraged her mother to buy a book, and her younger sister still lived at home. Well, I got this letter from her saying that her mother bought the book, and I remembered that. And she used what she learned in it, and her sister was able to stop going to therapy because she finally felt loved. And when I got that, as I thought of it, I realized that her mother had always loved her. It's just that the way she must have been interacting with her didn't feel loving to the girl. And so she didn't feel loved, even though she was. And so I realized how important this is, because it keeps that love that would naturally flow between the parent and the child, it keeps that going. It doesn't get in the way. So that's what, and the one rule will do the same thing. And the safety net, the one rule will help with that too, because that, when I was writing this up, my main theme was called The Power of Respect. That was the name, the respect was the name I gave to the kind of behavior that would help all this good stuff happen. Really to help you through difficult times. that's those, anyway. So then, as I said, respect was the theme of the day. And modeling, because we are models. That's part of our role. And trusting. Trusting is a big one, very important. And I have written about how to get to it if you don't, if it doesn't come easy and natural. Anyway, and I wrote most about that in my first book, which is Parenting for the New Millennium. But it's also, I think, enough of it is in, I think enough of it is in the one rule. Actually, it's the one rule to raising happy kids, which is what I use for today's title, because I didn't know exactly what was going to be covered. Plan for calm is really important. It's one of the first things that I recommend people do. And anyway, so there's the 4 steps to changing something, language of respect, and helping your kids develop good self-talk, being polite to them. Because one of the things that you learn if you work with me is that we are the example. And if we want things, we need to live them. When there was a time when, let's see, when I used this concept of a respected person, like, well, would I do that to them? Would I say that to them? Would I think that of them? And this is really helpful. Refocus. It doesn't have to be respectful thought, though that's what's mentioned here because of what I'm doing, but refocusing our thinking is extremely helpful in all kinds of ways. It's one of the things that I do daily, is to make sure my thoughts are lined up with how I want things to be instead of how I don't want them to be, because I've had a lot of that kind of thinking in my life. So I don't want that anymore. One of the things that started my whole journey on this finding harmony with kids was actually was my Montessori training, because the person that taught us had actually lived in Maria Montessori's household since he was 14 as a companion for her son. And he became a Montessorian, and she, when she left India, she asked him to come and be the director of the training course there. And that's where I met him and learned from him. So there I learned how important childhood was and how deserving of love and respect. And then when we came back and started a Montessori school, I would see people treating children in ways that didn't demonstrate love and respect. And it was really disturbing to me, even though I realized that was the way I was raised, that the adults were in charge and could do whatever to bring about obedience. So, but it really bothered me and made me not want to be around the parents and children. And the invisible root cause is when I discovered, and it was like a discovery for sure, what brought this about. And I don't know when or how it started, but it's been around for a long time. And when I studied anthropology in college, as I look back at my studies, I could see that it's pretty much everywhere. And it was this attitude of being in charge, of having power over, instead of working with and creating with. So that's what I'm about. But that's what was one of the big starting points for me, was making that discovery. Anyway, I will continue scrolling on down.
I think there's nothing more infuriating for a child, especially older children who are growing up, when the parents say, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, and then the child says, why? Because this is my own experience at home as I grew up. Yes. Where the answer would always be, because I say so.
Exactly.
There was nothing, you know, just so frustrating. And I think that's something, because this rule or these strategies are applicable to adults as well as to children.
Of course.
And I've got several young adults that I'm kind of, I suppose the word you would use is mentoring, you know, giving them practical advice and, you know, trying to support them spiritually. Two are now living in the house with me. And so this is working out quite well. And I feel good about that. And I realize that all these strategies that we have, you know, from things, from the Gordon training, from all these different types of training.
Right.
Although I haven't worked with small children as you have.
Oh, okay.
I had a daughter. I had a daughter, so I was looking after her as she was growing up. That was the reason I studied Montessori, in Germany. I was living there and I studied it there, but I never used it in a professional sense. I was a volunteer teacher in the middle of the Pacific Ocean for a while.
Wow.
So I used my skills that I'd gathered along the way to use, I took some little equipment with me, wooden letters and cut out cardboard letters, these,
right,
and stuck cloth on them and different things like that, so that the
yes,
children could, especially there was one dyslexic boy, I was able to help him quite a lot.
nice,
With reading, with these wooden letters. So that was fantastic. I was
yes,
really pleased about that.
yes,
Anyway, apart from all that, I feel that although I haven't been really involved so much in small children or their education, I mean, apart from my own daughter, really, and a bit of volunteer work, the skills remain the same. It doesn't
yes,
matter what age group, whether it's a 99-year-old or a 9-year-old or a 9-month
right,
old.
right,
We've
that's
got to
right,
use the same skills,
yeah,
and that's the point, that it's adaptable to any age group,
yes, it is,
and people need to realize that these skills are not just confined to using with children or in special needs, or but we are all people with special needs. I have
right,
special needs, you have special needs.
that's
We're
right,
all special needs. I think that's such a ridiculous title, but anyway, that's enough.
right,
No, but respect is the core of it. You've really hit the nail on the head, and I find this, you know, really quite gives me a lovely calm feeling, because I feel that,
nice,
yes, this is something I can completely identify with. It's like, you know,
nice,
like stepping into a warm bath, because it's
right,
reaffirming what I've
yes,
learned along the way and studied and experienced and tried out. And I use these kind of techniques in a
nice,
way, with these younger people that I'm trying to help, and give them some sort of spiritual support and tidbits of advice here and there,
yeah,
when you can. If there's something you can help with, then some idea will pop up. Oh, why don't you try this? You
right,
know.
yeah,
Uh, so we're making progress, and it's good.
good,
Yeah. Yeah.
good,
And it helps me, because then I've got two young people living in the house with me,
yes, that's good
which
too,
is, it's really nice to have other people around.
yes,
Because my daughter's at college, so she's 400 miles away,
ah, that's
She's a long
far,
way. She's up in
I
Edinburgh,
know,
in Scotland, so it's a long distance.
uh-huh,
Mm.
wow,
Anyway, so, but I hope that you can recover from your recent loss of your son. I
well,
believe myself in life after death,
yes, me
so I'm
too,
sure he's in a good place.
me too. The thing is that
I'm sure he's in a good place.
I had the year before my mother went on to heaven, and so I've had a whole year. I had a whole year of practicing, of relating, because I connect with her every day, and as long as I keep in a good mood, I know I can connect with him too. So that's that's where he is
Wonderful,
now. So
wonderful.
yeah. Well, this has been wonderful. I'm so glad that you came on. Um, I would love to hear more of your stories sometime, maybe. I'm gonna have to go now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much,
I
Karen.
will I will be sending you. I'll keep sending you the links. So,
Yes.
and when you can make
And
it
I'll try
good.
and find your Facebook page as well.
Okay. All right. Oh, I could put you, are you in the group? You're not in the group, right?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, I will send you an invitation for that.
All right,
There is a
great.
group. Okay. A face.
Fantastic.
All right.
Thank you.
Great. This was great. I really
Thank you very
enjoyed your
much.
presence. Thank you.
All right, we'll meet again soon.
Yes, we will.
Okay.
Take
Thanks a
care.
lot then.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Bye.